Welcome to the weekly message from Unity North Tampa, presented here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today's message is The 12 Powers in You, Source of Spiritual Strength, and it was recorded on Sunday, February 26th, 2023.
So we are in the final week of our study on the 12 powers, and I want you to hear me say, we just got started. We just got started, even though we've been doing it for how many weeks? Did anybody count? Like, are we still doing the 12 powers? The answer is yes, because the 12 powers are what? There are 12 spiritual powers or faculties that reside within your very own being. This is a radical thought because right now everything in our world says you have no power. Everything in our world says you have no power. And that power is in politics. Power is in faith, not politics. Power is in faith, not politics. Politics seek to divide faith. You know what the original meaning of the word religion is? To bind together. And yet even in places of faith, we've learned to let political ideologies divide us. Unity seeks to be the opposite of that. It's in our name, unity. What we're seeking to do in our personal lives is what? Unite all the aspects of our mind, body, and soul. And that's why we're studying the 12 powers. Look at the person next to you and say, the 12 powers are in you. The 12 powers are in you. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. So last week was on elimination and life. Did any of you practice this week? Let me have a show of hands. Anybody even think about it one time since last Sunday? Awesome. One person said, I don't know, I'm going to mess up my hair and see if she notices. Is this up or down? Maybe she won't notice. So what was about elimination life? Hank did a great job. I went back and listened to his message. He's a wonderful man, an incredible speaker, and an educator. And of course, one of the co-authors of the book. So what today is about is really the 12 powers as a source of spiritual strength. If you don't know about them, you can't use them. Right? If you don't know about it, you can't use them. And I want to make sure you know these powers are in you and they are yours to use, especially when life gets tough. Anybody in here not have one thing going on? There's always something going on, isn't there? It's called this journey we call life. It goes like what? Like this, like that, then back up again, and then everything's great, and then back up again. Right? So what we want in our spiritual lives is something that acts as almost a pedal tone in our life. Do you know what a pedal tone is in music? It's where music, it'll hold a note all the way through. A lot of stuff happens on top, but there's this consistent energy. And that's what we're seeking to do in our spiritual lives is as life hits us with the up and down, the sickness, the tough situation at work, the family situation that keeps coming up, we need something as a source of spiritual strength. And what I've discovered is it is not outside of me. Yes, we come to church to get fellowship and inspiration, but all we're doing is reminding you of the power you already have. Yeah, but I've learned if I'm looking to public officials to do it for me, I will be sorely missing what it is I really need. The 12 powers are a source of your spiritual strength. But, I learned this lesson. I can't remember if I shared this with you or not, but it impacted me so much years ago. I was home in Georgia. Anybody in here from the South? I'm just curious. But I was home in Georgia, and I went by this field. It was almost like something out of a postcard. The field was so beautiful and the sun was setting, that golden hour. And it was this guy working way out on the other end. And I just stopped. I pulled over. A guy finally came around to the other end, who was on some kind of tractor thing. It wasn't a combine, but some kind of tractor thing. And I say to the guy, farmer, God really has blessed you with this field. And he took that old sweaty hand, he went like this. He said, you should have seen it when God had it for himself. I said, you mean you had something to do with that? He said, yes, ma'am. See, God's here already. It's up to us to do the spiritual work to stay connected to that. It's up to us to do the spiritual, what I like to call soul work, to remember these truths on a daily basis. You know, I work with people all around the country, sometimes even around the world, and it's always the same thing. I'm saying to them, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions are what are creating your world. If something isn't working, change you. Right? So we have the power to change. Say with me, I have the power to change. Together, I have the power to change. Into what? Well, into our holiness. Let's look at what our 12 powers are one more time again. We want to be able to, on a regular basis, tap into one of these and remember these. Remember these 12 powers, where they reside, what that energy can bring us. What that energy can bring us. You know, when this last week when I wasn't feeling well, you can still hear it still in my voice and my sinuses and everything. I was working with all of these. One day I felt so bad. I said, Spirit, I can't remember any of them. Can you just help me? Yeah, I just did a meditation, kind of fell asleep, just thinking, I want this golden light energy to just be activated in my body. And then I realized, well, am I fighting this? What am I needing to learn from this? Okay, so that's when my soul work began, isn't it? When I could ask, what is this here for me at this time? Because friends, I powered through COVID and everything else. All was well. I'm thinking, nobody's getting sick now and I am. What's going on with that? Is there something here I need to learn? Well, that's the soul work of dealing with what life sends. We say, well, if I'm faith and strength, we want to say, well, I can never get a cold or anything. No, it happens. We're human. But the question to be asking always is, okay, if this showed up now, what is my spiritual lesson in this? If I'm having a struggle right now, what is this here to teach me? Years ago, I read this statement from one of the old Unity teachers. Right now, I'm spacing on who said it, but it was, this too is good, this too is God, and I demand to see the blessing in it. This too is good. Say that with me. This too is good, and then this too is God, and I demand to see the blessing in it. You have to get a little attitude on that demand part. Yeah, this too is good, this too is God, and I demand to see the blessing in it. I said that one time and somebody said, well, now, are you sure you want to demand God to do something? I say, God is so much bigger than any little word I say. That's for me. I'm not demanding anything of God. I'm saying personality who only is seeing the limit, move out of the way so the Spirit in me can speak. It's not at God. Where is God? Right here, right now. There's no God on a throne anywhere. God is right here, right now. God is the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything in it, the scriptures say. The firmament shows his handiwork, the scriptures say. And Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches, abide in me and I in you. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Everywhere we are, God is. So there's no one out there. It's everywhere. This too is good. This too is God. And I demand to see the blessing in it because I want to grow my soul. I'm ready for my next step in consciousness. I'm ready for my next step in consciousness. Right? So this is why we use these 12 powers is they help us move to our next step in consciousness. They help us grow. They help us prosper. They help us evolve into our next stage on our spiritual journey. You're not supposed to just sit here and go like round and around like on a, what is that? Merry-go-round. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking Ferris wheel, and I knew that wasn't right. Those are fun too, but not forever. Right? Not forever. One of the things I do, I love to do things I've never done before to get me out of my comfort zone. Have you ever done that? One thing I just recently did to do that, I used every 12 power. I did a ride along with a NASCAR driver on the Daytona 500 track. I just did that, and my life flashed before my eyes on that first curve. I said, faith, strength, wisdom, love. It was a blast. I felt gravity for the first time in my life. That was something really different. It was very different. Yes, it was quite an experience. We hit that first turn, and I was starting to resist, and I thought, I don't think I can win this resistance. Right? And so I said, you know what? What if I just enjoyed the ride? And I could just relax, and I smiled the rest of the 3 miles, the entire 3 miles. I was smiling from ear to ear. I couldn't help it. It was so fun to just be with what was happening. This is the idea with life, right? To get in proper perspective. The truth is, friends, the only reason we're here right now on planet Earth at such a time is to grow our souls. That's what we're here to do. That's why the people are in your life. That's why you've called certain situations into your life and world. It's not to work, get old, pay taxes, and die. That's a very limited idea of our purpose. I know none of you here think that's why we're here. But sometimes we need reminding because we get so focused on the outer, we forget that it's all about growing our soul, that whatever is here in front of me right now is to grow my soul. It's to grow my soul. And every time I think maybe I'm at the edge of what I know, Spirit says, we're going to go again. We're going to grow again. So sometimes I do specific things that I choose, like that ride I told you about, which was a lot of fun. I got another event later this coming week that's something new. I'll tell you after, okay? Not before. But sometimes that's what life sends. You know, I just found out this week about somebody in my family who was not kind to me, has dementia, and his wife, my aunt, is on hospice. So I have to deal with that. I have to deal with that from a more awakened soul level than my personality wants to. Are you understanding and feeling that with me? I did not consciously want this. I want to avoid it, but my soul says no. You have to go right up. Here this is for your opportunity. How do I work with this within my family? They don't even know all the things. How can I support them? How can I be loving to myself? How can I be generous and open-hearted, embodying this, knowing I'm safe and all is well, even though I'm experiencing feelings in the personality level? See, I'm just like you are in terms of what I'm going through in life. These are things you'd never know if I didn't tell you, but it's just because I'm working with these just like you are. It's these spiritual powers that help me take the next step in my personal soul growth. I could stay right where I am. It wouldn't be a bad thing. But it is time for me to grow past some of these old pains. Like, do I want to die holding on to this? You see? But it's faith, number one, that's going to get me through it. This walk by faith that I'm doing. I feel like there's some higher calling in this that I'm going through right now, and I'm not 100% sure what it is yet. But I have faith there is one. I have faith that something is going to help me into my next phase of growth, and I'm going to know how to navigate through this. I may have feelings about it. I may have to cry about it. I may have to talk to a friend or coach about it, but I'm going to get to the other side of this. I'm going to grow past it using these powers to help me. Because I know if I'm just depending on my mind and my personality, you know what I would say? I don't want to deal with this. I don't have time. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to say from the personality level. But then I check into my spirit, and my spirit says, that personality, it's wrong, but only 100% of the time. So then I breathe, and I can locate this part of me, this soul that's more expansive, that says, you know what? How can I raise my consciousness and be my best self in the middle of this? How can I remember that there is a purpose in everything? When I was first starting out on my spiritual journey, and I got serious. So I don't know, I haven't talked much about this, but I was, at 15, I did missionary work in Brazil. And interestingly enough, my grandfather had been a missionary in Brazil. And when I was there, it really caused me to dig deep in my faith, because we were in some really scary situations. Like, one of the things we had to do as a part of our mission was go out and invite people to church. And I learned to give my testimony in Portuguese. And I was going, and I was also, I learned to play guitar for the trip. That's where I learned to play guitar. I played here a time or two. And they said, we need musicians. And I said, well, I'll go. I play clarinet. And they're like, no, we don't really want clarinetists. We want people who play guitar. I said, I can learn. Do you have a guitar? Nope, but I can get one. So my dad and I went down to the pawn shop and got the guitar. And I learned, my dad was always getting deals. I learned to play guitar. I learned to speak Portuguese for the trip. So I thought I was ready to go. I knew what I was going to say, and I'd done the preparation. I'd taken the lessons, and I'd taken the Portuguese classes, and I got there. And wow, I had never experienced anything like that. And they said, you're going to go 2 by 2. Sound familiar? Like the scriptures. You're going to go 2 by 2, and you're going to go down these roads where, there's all kinds of things going on. You're going to invite people to church. And one of the places I went to, and I didn't know, was a brothel. And I invited all the people in the various situations there to church. And when I told the missionary I'd gone down this road, he said, you went down that road? And I said, yeah. And he said, and you went? I said, yeah. And I went to a place, and I started describing. He goes, and you went there? I said, and I think they'll be here tonight. And he said, well, then good for you. But what I remembered is, right as I started to step down the street, it was it was real muddy, and there was a lot of some gravel. There wasn't a single paved road or light anywhere I was in Brazil except for Rio. I was in the interior, right? So many people lived in homes made of sticks or wood, right? And some did not live in homes at all. And there was raw sewage that was running down the street by where I was walking. There was no sewage. So when I was going door to door, that was the environment. So as I started to step down the street, to go down to that place, evidently I wasn't supposed to go to, I got so scared all of a sudden, like this. And I remember going, should I do it? And I was with my friend, Doug, and he goes, I think we should do it. I said, I do too. I think we should go. I said, but I'm scared. He said, me too. And you know what made the difference? That first step. That first step of faith. Right? So this is what we're called to every day. We can't always tell the situations what we're going to face. I did not know what I was going to face. But as soon as I started down the road, it was so interesting. I felt so protected and guided. And I barely knew what I was saying. So I was totally trusting on God. This is what we're called to every day. To just have that faith, to be willing to step forward and trust. This is how we grow. This is how we prosper. This is how we evolve, right? By applying the spiritual principles we know to everyday situations. Friends, these 12 powers are in you. They're in me. But we have to activate them through our faith. Taking us all the way back to number 1, we walk by faith. Amen.
Thank you for listening to the weekly message from Unity North Tampa here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com. This message is copyright 2023, Unity North Tampa, all rights reserved. Our theme music, The Light of God, is composed by Shannon Croft and used with permission and available at shannoncroft.com. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The SoulWorks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. SoulWorks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the SoulWorks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.